Now, I suppose this, judgment brings into heavy question and raising further eyebrows into the work that the Seriti Commission was meant to do in probing and investigating the allegations against the Ams Deal, which now the judge is saying weren't necessarily done thoroughly.
Well, absolutely, Tumelo. What it actually does is that it actually poke holes in the entire finding of the Seriti Commission, purely on the basis that evidence, as those who were arguing on behalf of the Right to Know and the Corruption Watch were arguing, that, for instance, the witnesses, the court today dwelt mainly on the evidence or the testimony that was given by Advocate Fana Hlongwane, one of the people who benefited immensely for the consultancy work that he did for some of the arms company that were contracted or subcontracted in that multi-billion rand contract. Now, the judges today said that Fana Hlongwane, despite evidence that was presented to the commission and even to the evidence leaders, he was never questioned. In fact, the judge said he was allowed just to ramble on, complaining about the fact that he was now being questioned about the money that he has received, even going on to say that other consultants must also be questioned. But another interesting observation of the court, and this is according to paragraph 65 of today's judgment, they are saying that the Commission accepted as common cause evidence that former President Thabo Mbeki, then Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, had played no part in the awarding of the subcontracts to Thomson CSF, despite evidence of an encrypted fax which implicated him in the awarding of the Thomson CSF contract. Going forward, this judgment says that this evidence was there before the Commission, and it was also never interrogated. So essentially, the court today agreeing that the Commission was just a whitewash. But importantly, Tumelo, the judges emphasizing that the judgment today does not necessarily speak to the merits of the entire contract. They are not necessarily saying the contract was corrupt or not. All they are saying is that they are saying that the Commission's work was essentially a sham.
Now, Moloko, what is expected to take place next? If they're saying that the Commission's findings need to be set aside, what should the public expect? Another commission, perhaps, or even a reinvestigation into the corruption that took place allegedly with the arms deal back in '99?
If I can.
Well, according to the lawyer representing these two institutions who spoke to us earlier, and this is the same position they held even prior to this judgment during the hearing, they were saying that they are not necessarily calling for a restart of the Commission because they are aware that it is costly. Remember, this particular Seriti Commission cost the taxpayer approximately 137 million rand, and only to come up with a finding that there was no evidence of corruption, despite the fact that we are told that there were millions of documents which were stashed in shipping containers, which was never interrogated, and even evidence that was presented to the Commission itself. According to the judges, they agree that such commission really was never interrogated, as the Commission was expected to do. But you will also remember that, Tumelo, that even before the Commission started with its work, we saw about 3 senior officials resigning from the Commission. You would remember Kate Penteng, who was a legal researcher. She's an attorney. She just left and resigned. Now also Norman Mwabi, who was a senior legal researcher himself, an attorney as well. In fact, in his resignation letter, which was leaked to the media, he had accused Judge Willis Reed, the chairperson of the commission, of having a second agenda. And we also later saw another commissioner who is a judge, Francis Legodi, also resigning from the commission. Of course, we don't know the reasons for Legodi's resignations, but that sort of like just tarnished the credibility of the commission even before it started its work, and the findings really did not surprise a lot of people.
All right, thank you so much, Moloko Moloto, our reporter who's right now giving us an update, of course, of the breaking news that the findings from the Seriti Commission have been set aside.